Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. Today we are doing this look inspired by Angelina Jolie. I do not look like Angelina Jolie at all. And because of that, I didn't think that this was gonna really turn out, but I do think that there's her vibes here. So you guys let me know in the comments, but I can see it. I think that her eye makeup is more specific than I thought. This is so much her eye shape. It looks like I'm squinting up my eye like that, but I don't have to do anything to make it look like that's happening. Like it's just doing it. Well, it's so flirty, it's sexy. So let's do it. Today we're doing an Angelina Jolie look, and I have these contacts in. I thought it would be fun. They're the only ones I have. They're pretty bright. Whatever. We're here to have fun. I do not look like Angelina Jolie, but you've requested this, so I'm going to do my best to show you techniques. Makeup she has is very minimal. A little bit of eyeliner, a little bit of eyeshadow, and then basically what makes it is her facial features. She's got beautiful facial features, and her face is very square. Mine is not square. So if you have a more squared jaw, then you will look even more like her. But let's give it a go and see what happens. I'm trying out a new foundation, and it's this Chanel foundation Water Fresh Complexion Touch, and I have it on. It's actually really nice. It went on pretty dewy, but it's like absorbing nicely, I think. For base, she's very matte, but I'm gonna go with what I have. I don't like to necessarily copy exactly. The first thing we need to do is contour our faces because she is a very particular look. We're gonna need all of the tools available to us for this. Let's start with actual contour. And I'm using the Fenty Beauty Matchsticks contour. I'm gonna put this on the back of my hand. And I'm going to use this flat brush. It's from Stila. Her face is very angular. You still want to go with your own face. So look at where your cheekbones are. Okay? Like, yeah, like that. Sorry if these eyes freak you out. Sometimes they freak me out. And when you do your contour, you want to make sure that it's as even as possible because you're creating shadow on your face. So if you don't do it evenly, then your face is not going to look the same on both sides. So then I'm going to go with the stick, flatten out my chin because her chin is very square. But again, we're only doing enough that we could go out and we're not going to look crazy. And then the jawline, she's so chiseled. I'm going to use the other end of this. Okay, no, we're going to use a different brush. Okay, we're going to use my baby kabuki. And we're going to just gently tap, tap, tap and blend this out. If I'm contouring my jawline, which I don't do very often, I'll literally try to flatten it out and see if I get a line. That's the best way. So far, I'm really liking this foundation. So I'm just using my foundation brush here and I'm gently patting over that contour because it's so intense and I want it to still look natural. More contour. We're gonna go here and here and a little bit there. And her nose is very flat. It's like that. The tip is really up and like flattened out. So you see like how I'm getting this shine that goes straight? That's what she has. So to do that, we need to contour the bottom of my nose to flatten it out. If you have a very flat nose, then you don't need to contour there. I'm going to use my Patrick Ta contour brush and I'm just coating this. And I see that she has two little lines like here and here, like shadows. And The contour here is also quite exaggerated. I'd say the bridge of her nose is not narrower than mine, so I'm not gonna make my nose more narrow. I'm actually gonna widen it a little bit by just bringing this contour down, not right up to the ridge of my nose, down a bit. A little line here, but barely. I'm gonna use my finger because I don't want to mess this up with the brush. Then I'm taking my nose contour brush again, and I'm using my powder this time into the darker side, and just gonna set this contour with the contour powder. This is what I mean about her having so many square shapes or very geometric shapes on her face. Like even her nose is like a little cube on the end, like that. I'm gonna just take my foundation brush and gently tap this just to blend it. Tapping, not swiping. We're gonna use the really bright concealer to bump out my face down here to give more of that square jaw. And looking at the photo, she's very bright here. She's very bright here on the cheek and then onto the chin. So typical places where the light hits you. So we're gonna brighten in there. Taking my concealer, I'm gonna place it on the back of my hand today. And I'm gonna use my concealer brush. And I'm gonna get this evenly coated. Placing your products on the back of your hand and onto your brush first is gonna give you a much nicer application. Starting here, beside the nose. I wait to conceal my under eye until right before I'm ready to use my powder, because even if you buff it out or like pat it out with your beauty blender before you set, if it's been sitting on your face for too long, it'll get into any lines that you have and you just won't get as smooth of a look. Okay, so we're gonna go here because I really want to carve out the jawline. And you have to look at your own features compared to hers because it'll change where you need to place your light and your dark. I'm following that contour we did and just inside of the contour, bumping out my jaw with this white color. Same on this side. I'm going to use my beauty blender and just pat this. Like I said, there's only going to be so much I can do to square out my face because it's very oval and I have a lot of more round shapes. But I think that this is looking pretty good. I think that I'm going to go over the contour once we switch to powders just to carve it out a little bit more. But again, I would want this to still look natural enough to go out. So I think even with this, I'm going to tone it down a bit and make sure it's blending better once we do powders. In terms of blush, she doesn't really do very much as per usual when we look at the 90s. I think that we can add a little bit of color and then we'll do bronzer. So I'm going to use the Rare Beauty Hope blush, and this is a liquid one. I'm going to use a really little bit of this on the back of my hand, just one dot. Then I'm going to take my blush brush. This is from Sephora. It's not for blush, but I love it for this purpose. And I'm evenly coating this. And I'm just checking that it's diffused enough because we really don't want very much. Her blush is very low down. It's like here. It really emphasizes the slant of her cheek. I'm going to carry mine up just a little bit because, again, I'm modifying this into something that I would wear. But if you want to stay more true to her, keep your blush lower down. It really follows her cheekbone line. Then I'm going to take my foundation brush and just blend this out. Pat, 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 pat. Then I'm taking my beauty blender and I'm going to redefine this jawline or cheekbone line. So these are our liquids, and then we're gonna do our powders. So I'm gonna do my under eye, and then we'll set. For the under eye, she is very bright in this photo that I'm looking at. And I'm going to, again, put the 00 color on the back of my hand, but I'm gonna mix it with the 0 neutral that's very close to my skin tone because I don't want it to be too bright. Concealer brush, dabbing into this, getting an even coat. So when you conceal your under eye, if you want to avoid creasing, you want to go only in the darkest areas, which is there, below where you get that little crease, and here. And you don't want to carry it up right to the lash line. I am tapping this really gently, coming up onto the side of my nose and down into an L shape. Damp beauty blender. Tap, tap, tap. She has a lot of flat space. Basically everywhere my hands are not is bright. And it's really just these two little triangles here that are contoured out. And otherwise everything else looks the same tone. I'm going to use my Chanel loose powder, and this is in the white. If you have something just closer to your skin tone, that would be fine too. I'm going to take this little brush and cover it in the powder evenly. And then I'm just going to pat this under my eye. I'm going to go beside the nose, down beside the mouth, onto the chin. I'm going to come down along this cheekbone line we created into that square shape in between the brows onto the forehead. Same on the other side. That's a lot of powder, more than I want, so I'm just going to brush it away right away. So whatever your makeup looks like before you set, that's what it's going to look like once you set. So that's why you want to make sure that you really blended your makeup well and you're not getting any cakiness or like creasing before you set it. So now I'm going to buff this away. I'm going to tap it. If I ever swipe, it's very light. But for the most part, tapping is going to be better. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and just add a little bit of contour, and maybe instead we'll do bronzer and just kind of tone down some of the lines and like whiteness. It's blending pretty well, but I think we can blend with this. Using my kabuki, evenly coating this. I'm gonna carry it a little onto my temple actually. So her face is very narrow there beside her eyes. I'm gonna throw a little here just to blend. Tap, 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 tap. Nice. This is really pretty. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush setting spray. You want to let this dry completely. I'm using this Lorac lip plumper and I'm gonna reapply. So I did apply this at the beginning. We need our lips to be as plump as we can, and I might even carry it right to the edge, even like a little bit over. I've seen people do this and then they use lip liner. when they want to overline. But I don't know. Might be crazy. We shall see. Okay. Let's wipe my hand. I feel like a China doll with these eyes. Brows up, gel, and I always run this through backwards to make sure I coat every single hair. If you find that your brows move throughout the day, could be that you have too much face cream or like oils in your brows from your prep and it's interfering with the gel. So you can use a little alcohol on a like spoolie or a cotton swab and just like get rid of it and then use your gel and your brows will stay all day. Okay, then I'm using a clean spoolie and I'm just brushing these brows into place. Now her brow is very, very arched. I'm going to find my arch. And then her tail is really long and skinny. It's very 90s. Somewhat like that. So I always try to get the general shape first, and then I'll go in and fill in with my brow pencil. So I'm going to use the Benefit Precisely My Brow in color 6. I'm going to really define this shape. The front of her brow isn't too thin. It's pretty similar to like, I'd say the thickness of this brow. This brow's a little thicker. So I'm going to keep it inside where my hair is and make that the darkest area. Really comes up on an angle into that point, which is extremely defined. And I feel like these bottom hairs are almost brushed up into that point. And then she's got like this swooping arch that comes down. Again, working within your own facial features and your own shapes, just modifying what you already have into as close of that shape as you can without it looking unnatural. At least that is what I like to do. And then this side. Whenever you do your makeup, really try to be able to do it in natural light and you'll get the best result. It'll look good in all lighting then. Where brighter lights, you're much more likely to get too much makeup. The front of her brow is very round. So like the shape here is rounded, not straight. Pretty happy with that. I think the tail could be a little longer. Wherever you can brush your own hair, I think, you can play within that area. That's kind of my rule anyway. Okay, I'm happy with this. Let's do eye makeup. She really doesn't have very much on. We'll use like an orangey brown because that's what I see on her eyes. There's also skin tone color here. I'm going to use my Warm Neutrals palette from Sigma. We're going to start with this color here all over the lid. So I'm just blending it out. I'm going to go in with this Sigma dual-ended brush. I'm going to use a medium sweeper, which is E54, into this kind of like orangey brown color. She really just has this localized here at the outer corner. And then I feel like it kind of sweeps forward just above her crease and connects to her nose contour. Now this looks crazy, but you just take your diffuser and blend. And I think that this works even though it looks really defined here because that's what she looks like. So, and always making sure I go in and just blend all of this together and we don't have any harsh lines. I'm going to take the same eyeshadow brush that I had that lighter color on and just kind of re-brighten right in there. Taking my concealer brush, just whatever concealer is left on there, I'm going to brighten up the bridge of my nose. I'm going to use my Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the dark brown color. It does look to me like she has liquid black liner on or liquid brown, but I don't have one right now, so I'm going to use this. I think that her upper lash line is also tight lined, so we're going to do that. And having a really sharp, or like sharp sounds bad because we're going towards our eye, but you want to have a lot of space from where the pencil is to the end of the actual eyeliner when you tight line, so that you can kind of just run it along and rub it in without touching your eye. I'm going to bring this all the way into the inner corner. She does have a little bit of a point. I think it's her natural eye, but we'll carry this forward a little bit. On this side, the same thing. So carrying this forward, I am ever so slightly elongating my point, bringing this to where my tear duct ends. And I want that really on the inside. So anywhere where it comes outside, I'm going to clean it up. Then I'm going to take the eyeliner. She just has like a little flick. We're going to start at the corner of the eye, which is where hers is. Going below my crease. And then comes from about like mid-eye and connects. And then it's very thin towards the front. And if you had a liquid liner, it would look more like hers, and you could get this point even more defined, which I think would look really good. Okay, let's do the other side. Going out. See, I already know that that's good. It's giving like an eyelash flick. And basically, I'm just coming down from that point, keeping this little tail really thin, thickening it just to mid-eye, and then doing a really thin line towards my inner corner. I'm going to take a little bit more of that orangey color on this teeny tiny smudgy brush, and I'm going to go under my lower lash line. And I'm just going to sharpen this. So I'm not going to look just like her, but I think that this is giving the vibe of her eyes. Of course, these contacts are really light. I think we're getting those shapes. And it's all about the shapes. Okay, lips. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna start by wiping this off. So we have my natural lip color. I'm gonna take my spoolie and I'm gonna rub my lip. This helps to like plump them up. Her lip is much wider than mine. It probably comes out to like here-ish. So we're going to work with my lips. I am going to start by contouring my lips. I'm going to use this Stila Sketch and Sculpt brow pencil in dark. We're going to create half circle here, or like a little V. Because her lip goes in the shape of an M, I'll throw in a little line this way. I'm going to place this also in the inner corners of my mouth. And you can see how pillowy that just got. I'm going to go over this with my beauty blender. I'm going to also contour my lips. I'm going to take my contour palette and I'm just going to go up here, especially down here for her, because that lip is like heavy. It's heavy on her face. It's creating its own shadow. Okay, let's line the lips. Makeup Forever color pencil in Completely Sepia. Overline my top lip, but I'm gonna stay to my ridge because I want it to look natural. Her Cupid's bow is not very defined. It's just all lip. You know, it's all plump lip. And then as I get to the corner, I'm getting tighter to my own lip. Now her lip is more round. I'm gonna stick to my shape in the middle, and then I'm gonna slightly overline to the outer edge. I'm going over those spots we did earlier. The dark brown I'm going over with my lip pencil. And I'm also gonna kind of color in along the inner lip. I think this is as close as I can get to her lips. I ended up going over a couple of spots with this slightly darker pencil. This is the Kylie Cosmetics Precision Pout Lip Liner in Comes Naturally. I use this one a lot because it's very close to my natural lip color. So if I want to overline any areas, this really makes it look like my lip. So I went in along the Cupid's bow and just went over what I did there. And then just on the outer edge of the lower lip. And I think we're getting a nice pout. This Armani Luminous Silk, putting some on the back of my hand. I'm going to use this little smudge brush. If you have a lip brush, I'd use that. And I'm going to try just... yeah, I think that works. Up here, I'm going mid. I think this is pretty good. Eyelash curler. I start at the end of my lashes and I work my way in. And I can confirm from a couple of people, they've told me this works better than working from the inside out. And I actually didn't know that I was doing something different. So I'm going to use the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Primer in white. And we're going to go focus this more to the outer edge, sweeping the lashes out. Then I'm going to take the Clarins Wonder Volume Mascara in XXL. We're going to apply that. So focusing more out here. I would say that she has some false lashes right here, like singles. So I will mascara those outer ones. Set the lips, my powder, my brush. Setting your lips just means your lip liner isn't going to move. I'm going to spray. For highlighter, I'm going to use the cookie highlighter from Benefit. I'm going to use this little brush. With her nose, like I was saying earlier, it's really flat and there's a highlight like that straight across. So we want to keep this above and just do like a straight line. We're gonna do a little bit here on the nose, coming just halfway down. Go put some in here because she's quite bright there. So you have to remember with your highlights and shadows that if you're trying to copy someone's features, you want to shape them as closely to their highlights and shadows as possible. So when I highlight my Cupid's bow, it becomes very pointed because my Cupid's bow naturally is very pointed, where hers is much softer. It's very blurred out. There's nothing wrong with highlighting it, but I might want to avoid this middle part. I don't know what to do about the lips. Because, like, when I look at her, the lines in her lips are quite visible, which means doing a matte lip like this would be perfectly fine. But I don't like matte lips. Okay, let me do my hair, and then I'll come back. Okay, guys, this is our final look. This is very sultry. It's giving, like, kitten I don't know. It makes me think of Kitten. Flirty, sultry, Angelina Jolie eye look. I left the lip matte. I don't know. I'm really happy with this. Like, what? I am so surprised because, I mean, I know I'm always surprised. Before I started posting these videos, like, I never did look-alike makeup. People told me that I look like Monica Bellucci, so I was like, well, let's do some Monica Bellucci makeup. And then I was like, okay, well, what else can we do? Let's have fun. But I really didn't think that we were gonna get any kind of Angelina Jolie because my face is so different to hers. So anyways, I think we got there. What do you think? Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, I read all of your comments. Let me know if you try this look. I think it's beautiful. Okay, well, until next time.